Welcome to the Xplainer. Today, we're tackling a serious but kind of taboo medical crisis facing adults over 60. We're going to break down the science, bring you some clear, step-by-step relief, and focus on long-term prevention strategies to absolutely protect your health. Let's get right into it. So, let me ask you something, and be totally honest with yourself here. Have you ever sat in the bathroom for, say, 30 to 60 minutes, feeling this intense pressure but getting absolutely zero results? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, let me be super clear. You are not dealing with simple constipation anymore, and those basic home remedies, they're just not going to cut it. All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll be covering what is fecal impaction, the hidden internal dangers, why seniors are vulnerable, an emergency action protocol, healing and recovery steps, and finally, the 4 pillars of prevention. Section 1, what is fecal impaction? Understanding the blockage. Let's start by looking at what is actually happening inside your body when waste becomes completely stuck. Think of your colon as a winding river. Now, during normal digestion, it flows beautifully. You've got these rhythmic squeezes called peristalsis keeping everything moving steadily while water is absorbed, which leaves you with soft, manageable waste. But, as we age, those rhythmic squeezes can really slow down. Decreased motility sets in, dehydration happens, and debris just kind of piles up at a narrow bend until the flow stops entirely. And here is the absolutely crucial point. Fecal impaction is a severe medical condition. When that mass has been sitting there for 5, 6, maybe 7 days without passing, it loses way too much moisture. It literally dehydrates into this cemented, dense, immovable solid mass trapped right in the rectum. This isn't just a regular backup. This is a true medical emergency. Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden internal dangers, and why this is a medical emergency. Because this isn't just a minor inconvenience. The physical presence of this mass triggers a whole cascade of hidden internal issues that we desperately need to address. Structurally, your rectum is flexible, right? But it definitely has its limits. When it gets chronically overdistended, it actually loses its crucial blood supply and oxygen. Those struggling cells can suffer real tissue injury that requires medical repair. Plus, your rectum shares a very thin fibrous wall with your bladder. So as this mass pushes forward, it literally compresses the bladder. This causes severe difficulty urinating, and the feeling is so intense it mimics a sudden, painful bladder infection overnight. But the most confusing and honestly dangerous symptom you might encounter is overflow incontinence. To you, it looks exactly like uncontrollable diarrhea, but it is absolutely not. What's actually happening is the solid mass is completely blocking the main exit, but liquid waste from higher up in the digestive tract still has nowhere to go, so it just seeps around the outside edges of that hardened blockage, leaking out unpredictably. And that leads me to a very stark warning. Taking an anti-diarrheal medication for this fake diarrhea is quite literally one of the most critical mistakes you can make. Why? Because those drugs paralyze your intestinal muscles. You end up shutting down the exact mechanism your body is using to try and work around the problem, and you just cement that impaction even deeper into place. Please, don't do it. Moving on to Section 3, why seniors are vulnerable, the perfect storm of aging. To understand why this needs our urgent attention, we really have to look at who is most at risk and normalize what's actually happening. A staggering 40%. That's right, fecal impaction affects upward of 40% of residents in nursing homes and long-term care settings. It's one of the single most common, yet completely solvable, geriatric gastrointestinal emergencies, and it disproportionately affects adults over 65. So where does this immense vulnerability come from? Well, it's kind of the perfect storm of risk factors. First, you've got reduced physical mobility, which means less mechanical stimulation of the gut. Second, a diminished thirst mechanism and a smaller appetite naturally lead to dry, less bulky waste. Third, decades of suppressing the urge to go actually retrains the rectum to be way less sensitive. And finally, the constipating side effects from really common medications, things like opioid pain relievers, iron supplements, and blood pressure drugs, those severely slow down bowel motility. Section 4. Emergency Action Protocol. Step-by-step relief at home. If you or a loved one are in the middle of this crisis right now, here is the exact clinical guide you need to follow. Before you do absolutely anything else, stop straining immediately. I know, it feels totally instinctive to push, but pushing against a rigid mass just does not work. All it does is increase your risk of causing hemorrhoids, painful anal fissures, or even a sudden dangerous drop in blood pressure that could literally cause you to faint. Instead, you're going to follow this precise protocol. Step 1. Use lubricated adult glycerin suppositories while lying still on your left side. And you must stay on your left side without moving for 30 to 45 minutes to really let the medication draw in moisture. Step 2. Get up and walk around slowly for 15 to 20 minutes to mechanically stimulate digestion, and then repeat the suppository process. Step 3. If that fails, try a warm water or saline retention enema. And finally, Step 4. If you are still unsuccessful after these thorough attempts, you must seek emergency medical care. The ER has specialized high-volume enemas, and they can safely perform a professional manual disimpaction. All right, Section 5, Healing and Recovery Steps, Post-Crisis Care. Because once the impaction is finally cleared, your body enters this brief, focused recovery period that really requires your dedicated attention. For your 24 to 48-hour recovery protocol, keep in mind your rectal tissue is going to be pretty irritated and swollen. To help it heal, take warm sitz baths for 10 to 15 minutes, about 2 to 3 times a day. You'll want to stick to a soft, high-moisture diet. Think oatmeal, ripe bananas, soft soups, and hydrate deliberately. Finally, immediately book an appointment with your primary care doctor to review your medications, or maybe ask for a referral to a gastroenterologist to schedule a colonoscopy, just to ensure there are no underlying structural issues. Section 6, 4 Pillars of Prevention. Building a sustainable routine. Look, crisis management is absolutely necessary, but our ultimate goal is to build a solid daily routine so this nightmare never, ever happens again. Your long-term prevention rests securely on these 4 pillars. First up, hydration. You want to aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water or warm herbal tea daily to keep that waist soft. Second, movement. Just a 20 to 30-minute daily walk mechanically stimulates your digestion. Third, dietary consistency. Ensure regular soluble fiber intake and try to eat your meals at the exact same time every day to build a strong internal rhythm. And fourth, scheduled bathroom time. Sit on the toilet every single morning, ideally with a footstool to elevate your knees. This perfectly leverages your body's natural gastrocolic reflex. That's your gut's automatic signal to empty, which is usually strongest right after breakfast. Now, as you build this routine, you really need to heed this crucial warning. Avoid long-term stimulant laxative use. Sure, they provide quick relief, but daily reliance actually trains your colon to depend on artificial stimulation. If you stop taking them, your bowel simply forgets how to move on its own. It's a documented condition called cathartic colon. Stick to those natural pillars we just talked about, or discuss much safer osmotic agents with your doctor.
Which brings us to our final takeaway, and honestly, a crucial question for you to ponder. Who in your life is suffering in silence and needs this information today? We absolutely have to break the deep taboo around digestion. Please share this explainer with a family member, a friend, or anyone who might be quietly suffering. Let's empower them to take real control of their health as they age. Because true health longevity, it isn't just about the number of years in your life. It's about making sure your body functions comfortably during every single one of those years. So will you be the one to finally start this uncomfortable but completely life-saving conversation?